Fidelity is selling some of their Bitcoin. At the same time, they're buying and BlackRock is buying Ethereum. Let's talk about that. Is this something to be worried about for Bitcoin investors, or is this just normal? Is it a normal outflow every once in a while from the Bitcoin ETF? We also have news about the ETH ETF, which it's actually hit some records this year, which is kind of crazy. We also have BitMine, Tom Lee's company. They're going to raise $2.5 billion to buy more Ethereum. Let's talk about this and everything else you need to know about in the market. I'll also be covering a stock that I'm heavily invested in. I actually have more in this stock than any crypto besides Bitcoin. So I want to cover that towards the end of the video because I know not a lot of people watch those stock segments, but I think it is pretty important for the overall market, which means it is important for crypto. And this is a company you probably want to look at as a pretty great place to park some money. If you don't mind, hit subscribe so you can see future videos just like this. If you want, I am going to be interviewing someone that's very well known in the crypto space, and I'm going to be posting it early to my Telegram group. So you can check out my Telegram. It's completely free. It's the third link in the description, second link in the pinned comment. You can join for free and just get access to videos faster there. I also got a video that's taken off YouTube recently, and that video is on the Telegram. So you can check that out. Like I said, completely free. Also, if you're a big trader too, we might be able to get you one-on-one support with someone at BYDFi. So check this link out underneath the video. They have some special bonuses going on right now. Just for a little bit longer, there's a 10 to 50% deposit bonus depending on how much you deposit. And depending on how much you trade, you can get anywhere from $130 to $10,000 of free Bitcoin. I think it's a great time to be trading. Bitcoin has stayed very steady, setting higher lows. Like it's not super obvious at first, but you look and every low is just a couple $100 higher. So we're at $118,000 right now. It seems a bit like a coiled spring. Like if you look at the 4-day, we are forming a bit of a triangle here with higher lows and lower highs. So I would not be surprised to see some volatility. Now we are seeing some liquidations. It's mostly on the long side. You can see $112 million worth of ETH longs liquidated, $65 million worth of XRP longs, $46 million of Bitcoin longs. It's kind of interesting though, because even though longs are getting liquidated on Ethereum, and even though ETH price is falling down, we're actually seeing large inflows into the ETFs, the ETH ETFs. You can see Ether with $324.6 million going in just yesterday. This is 99% or 98% of all the inflows yesterday. This is BlackRock's ETF. So they're just showing massive inflows. This is like a week straight of large inflows for them. And this is crazy how the acceleration is happening in these ETH ETFs. For the prior year, from July 2024 through June of 2025, 12 months, they got $4.2 billion of inflows. Then in July, 1 month, they got $4.4 billion, and we're not even done with a month. So they're accelerating over 10x the amount of inflows this month. But at the same time, we're seeing outflows from the Bitcoin ETFs. BlackRock actually was a shining light yesterday. They had $142 million of inflows, but FBTC sold a significant amount, $227 million. This is, I think, 2 or 3, 4 days in a row that they've seen outflows. IBIT finally bought today. The prior days they had just been holding, but this is an interesting rotation. We're seeing outflows from Bitcoin and inflows into Ethereum. Now, this happens every once in a while. You can actually see Fidelity has not bought a ton over the last 6 months, 7 months. They've had times where they started to buy, and then they've had 1 month sell-off periods where they were just dumping, actually shedding 20,000 Bitcoin. So it's not unprecedented for Fidelity to sell a bit. BlackRock has been really the massive accumulator over the last year. But it is interesting just to see a rotation of capital so heavily into Ethereum. And if you're a Bitcoin investor, I wouldn't be worried about this. Right? We've had periods like this where there have been outflows from the Bitcoin ETFs, and then we go right back to inflows. Bitcoin is the scarcest asset on earth, and I still think it will do really well this bull run. But there is a chance that Ethereum could outperform it because it's underperformed for so long, and there are treasury companies that are coming in. Staking is going to go live. I'm not rotating my capital because I feel much better about Bitcoin for the long term than Ethereum, but I do still have an Ethereum bag. And if you're feeling like, wow, I need to get access to more Ethereum or I need to build up a position, you can check out the link underneath the video to BYDeFi so you can use some leverage to get access to a position for a little bit cheaper. And then you can always add more margin in case you get further down towards the liquidation price. That's what I like to do when I feel under, like I have too small a position on an altcoin. Now, if you look back like 2 months, I believe still the Bitcoin ETFs far outpace Ethereum, but it is a smaller asset. Ethereum is a smaller asset. So it'll move faster if we have institutional players come in. Now, what I think is happening with Ethereum, the fact that it's not moving up today, we're seeing longs get liquidated, but we're also just seeing a churn. It's probably some people taking profits while institutions are buying. Individual retail investors that have been wanting to get out are just selling. I've seen a lot of people saying that they're taking profits recently. So it's not surprising to see us just kind of trend sideways a little bit, especially if Bitcoin's not moving. Like if we're going up, sure, if we go up to new all-time highs on Bitcoin, it's easy to see Ethereum outpace Bitcoin. But if we're just kind of sideways, it's not surprising that in this market environment where people are still a bit cautious, at least on the crypto side, I'd say, it's not surprising to see Ethereum just kind of staying steady as well. ETH just hit 10 billion in 1 year flat, the third fastest ETF to hit that mark in history after, you guessed it, 2 Bitcoin ETFs, IBIT and FBTC. Amazingly, it went from 5 billion to 10 billion in just 10 days. ETF asset equivalent of a god candle is in the top 5 for flows in the last 1 month and 1 week. Sister Hazel. That is impressive. I did not know that it performed that well compared to every other ETF in history. Like the FBTC and IBIT ETFs are just wild. Like how quickly they got to 10 billion in assets is unprecedented. But I didn't know that Ethereum was pulling in that much compared to other ETFs in history. So good for them. Good for BlackRock on that ETF too. They're going to make a lot of money and they're going to be able to stake that too. So maybe they make some money from staking. At the same time, publicly traded Bitmine Immersion is going to raise $2.5 billion to buy more ETH. I just saw a report that they had about $2 billion worth of ETH right now, and they're buying a lot more. So I would not be surprised to see ETH's price start to outperform Bitcoin even in the next couple months. But don't count Bitcoin out. 1 year ago, Strategy owned just 1% of all Bitcoin, 226,500 Bitcoin, and MSTR was worth $151. Today, Strategy owns nearly 3% of all Bitcoin that will ever exist, 607,000, and MSTR is worth $415. So it's almost gone up 3x, and they've acquired 200% more Bitcoin than they had before. In that time, in the time that MSTR's Bitcoin was able to 2.6x, MSTR did a 2.7x. Yeah, so everyone that's been invested in MSTR has done a great job. MSTR has done a great job of accumulating more Bitcoin. Overall, I think we're in a great place still. I know that people are starting to get a little bit antsy. People feel like this is boring. And actually, I've seen it. Like, my views are down from just a week ago. People were going crazy, and now they're already starting to tune out a little bit. I don't think you want to tune out at this point in the market because there's going to be some big news at some point in the future. We're going to have a lot of volatility. I mean, it seems boring until we take a big move. So you want to set yourself up properly, make sure you have everything in place. If you want to put some trades in place, do that. Understand how trading works before we see the next big move so that way you can take advantage of it. Now, I am invested outside of crypto. I've talked about this before on the channel, but one of my biggest holdings is Google. It's not my largest single stock holding, but it is one of my large holdings. They had earnings last night and they crushed it. And there's a reason I'm talking about this because Google announced something that affects all of the stock market, which affects crypto as well. Their earnings were $2.31 versus the estimate of $2.18. up 22% year over year. Revenue was at $96.43 billion, up 14%. That's impressive. Their capex, which is what scared the market, for this year, they expect $85 billion. The prior was $75 billion. The reason for this, they see demand in their cloud business. So they are spending an extra $10 billion. And that scared the market. At first, the market fell, Google actually fell down on this news, which is crazy because think about this. Let's say we were talking and I said, well, I made like $5,000 more last month than I thought I was going to make. So I put it in investments. Would you say that's a stupid decision? Like, would you say that's just stupid as opposed to just holding it in cash? No, you'd probably say, oh, nice. Congrats. That's going to really improve your future. That's going to make more money for you in the future. Same thing here. It's not like they're burning this money. They're putting it into something that's going to return them a lot of money over time. And yet people judge this. It's not like they need to spend on CapEx. This is not them like replacing a building that's falling in. No, this is an investment that's going to provide really good returns for them in the future. And yet people are worried about that. Kind of crazy. Their operating margin was 32% versus the estimated 33%. Their net income was $28.2 billion, which is up 19% year over year. Let's go down. Google Cloud, 32% year over year. And it looks like it's accelerating too. You can see a big jump this quarter. This is Q2. Like this is a more sizable jump than the quarter before, than the quarter before that, then the quarter before that as well. This was a $1 billion jump. This is a $1.4 billion jump over 1 year. This is explosive. All right, so that's enough. They did a great job. Last time I looked, they're up like 0.5%, but they crushed it. The reason I bring this up is because they're spending a lot of money on infrastructure, and I think that's a good sign. If you're worried about your company, if you're worried about the economy, you're probably not going to invest a lot more money into your business, right? Like if I was worried about the stock market, am I investing a lot more money in the stock market? No. Like I'm probably just sitting on the cash. And yet they're constantly putting more and more money into CapEx. So I think this is a good sign for the entire market. It kind of gives you an idea for where Google thinks the economy is going, that they think that it's going to be business as usual or continue to grow even faster, which I think does affect crypto, obviously, because if the stock market's doing well, crypto's most likely doing well, or at least if the stock market's down, crypto's probably going to fall down too. Let me know your thoughts on all this underneath the video. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. I'll see you all soon. Again, you can check out the Telegram to get exclusive and early access to videos, and you can check out BYDFi if you want to start trading. There's also links to BTCC and BitUNix too. Thanks. Bye.